his fastball has the same shape. It's an analytical term that they use, not legitimate shape, but shape coming out of the hand and shape in motion. It's an analytical term that they use nowadays as Garrett Cole's fastball.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. Today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. With me, as usual, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Hello.
Hello. The week goes on.
Yes, it does. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to Locked On Yankees on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you know when our videos go live. Today's show, the Yankees have some dudes making the finals for some season-ending awards. They're not surprising, but we're going to go through them anyway. Aaron Boone spoke to the media and had some interesting things to say, and something interesting about that conference that he said off the bat, we're going to talk about because I was actually shocked by it. But first, Roki Sasaki. Let's talk about this because basically every team in baseball who has a podcast is talking about this guy because he posted. So let's get into it.
Yeah, we told you all last night that we would get into this. And I wanted to do a little bit more looking into his stats and what everything. Let's put one thing off the list so far, right? He cannot be paid more by anybody. There is no bidding war that's going to go on over financials. Sasaki is going to go to the team that he chooses to play for. That's it. There's no other ifs, ands, or buts, really, because he is under a certain. Once you're under a certain age and you're posted early, youth-wise, age-wise, the MLB teams can only offer you a certain amount of money. So your signing bonus can be about $2 million. And other than that, you can get paid on a 3-year deal, your rookie salary, which is a regular rookie salary. It's why Shohei Ohtani got paid nothing for the first 3 years of his career. It's the same because he was the only other player that got the exemption to go early. Yamamoto went later, and that's why Yamamoto was able to get $300 million. But Sasaki is going to get paid pretty much nothing for 3 years. So it's worth it for any team to try and get him because you're basically taking a flyer on a guy for a minimum salary who could wind up being an absolute stud. Every report out there is that his overall stuff is better than Darvish, better than Tanaka, better than Yamamoto. One reporter actually in Japan said that he has the best pure stuff on the planet right now, including Paul Skeens. So that could be a key too. He's a huge splitter fastball, very typical Japanese arm. And for Yankee fans to be interested, and we have some crazy numbers we're going to go over, but just to be interested, his fastball has the same shape. It's an analytical term that they use, not legitimate shape, but shape coming out of the hand and shape in motion. It's an analytical term that they use nowadays as Garrett Cole's fastball, which almost no pitchers in baseball can replicate. So there is that if you're interested. Stacey, first of all, before we get into the crazy stuff that he's done, what is your interest level for the Yankees to go after Sasaki?
I don't really know. I don't really have a feeling right now. I really don't. Would it be nice to have him? Sure. I'm a little worried because there's a health issue there that might scare some people, but he's really young. So even if he does have something happen and you have him for a few years and then, he's fine after that, it's okay. And you're not spending a ton of money on him, it might be worth the risk. But I don't know. I don't know if we're so soon after the season ended that I don't know if I can get excited about anything right now or, wanting someone. Is that odd? I don't know. I'm just very blah this week. I don't know what's wrong with me, but it's not that I'm not excited, because reading through the numbers and seeing how he pitches, this is a good young player. And as you said, any team would be helped by him and any team would improve with him. And would it be good for the Yankees? Sure. Plus the whole Japanese thing, because every time they have a big time Japanese player get to the team, you get the extra eyes on your team because everyone in Japan is watching. You get the extra advertising also, because when the Japanese players come over, deals are made, and then you see the Japanese ads on the walls in the stadium. So it's good for every team that way. The only thing that scares me a little bit, again, the health thing, but other than that, yeah, try and go for it. Why not?
It used to benefit big market teams, right? So, the Yankees had the advantage with the, Igawa signing, and they had the advantage of Matsui coming over. That was the big prize. Matsui was the most prized Japanese prospect ever.
Yeah.
Coming over. They got Tanaka. But it doesn't always necessarily mean when guys sign before the age range. I believe it's 24 years old. But when they sign under 24 years old, you do see more often than not, it doesn't, when the salary implications aren't involved, it doesn't mean as much. Remember, Darvish started his career in Texas, so with the Rangers, and he signed with a big deal. And Tanaka got the financials, and he signed a huge deal with the Yankees. But guys are generally willing to sign to go anywhere. I mean, Shohei Ohtani didn't go to the Dodgers, went to the Angels. So guys are generally willing to go anywhere with the minimum salary. I expect every team in baseball to be on him. Honestly, I can't imagine any team in baseball not being in on him because of the salary. Let's just go over a few things. Last year, so when he was 20 years old, he threw what is considered the greatest overall game in professional baseball history. He threw a perfect game against the Buffaloes, who wound up winning the Pacific League. And they also won the year prior, so they were still a really good team. He struck out 19 of the 20 batters he faced in a perfect game, and at one point he fanned 13 in a row, which is pretty iconic. Yeah, 19 of the 27. Yeah. Which is unbelievable. In 2022, he had a 2.02 ERA. He struck out 35% of the batters, and his walk rate was under 5%. Now, why is that key for the Yankees? You don't really want pitchers that are going to be fly ball pitchers putting the ball in the air because Yankee Stadium has such a hitter-friendly park. A strikeout guy is what's really key. They would love to have that in their rotation. 2023, he got better. He struck out 39% of the batters he faced, which is utterly stupid. And he had his ERA was 1.78. He allowed one home run in the entire year for him, which was in 91 innings. Now, Stacey did mention he has had injury troubles in the past. And from the reports that I've read, he is a little bit of a testy kind of guy. The reason why he's being posted this early is because the team that he's on in Japan, he had so many financial contract negotiations go back and forth, held out for part of the year last year, a million things, but they basically said, screw it, we don't want to deal with him anymore. And that's why they posted him early. Because really doesn't make sense to post him early, because why would the Japanese teams not take advantage of him being a part of the team for another year? It makes no sense. Plus, he would have had the opportunity to be paid an exorbitant amount of money in his Japanese league. So it makes no sense why. There's no way he has a passion for Major League Baseball that badly. He doesn't even, he's from Japan. But from everything that's been said online, apparently the contract negotiations last year were kind of annoying, and the team just didn't want to deal with it anymore. That's why they posted him early. So, but
wait, are there character issues with this guy, or is it just?
No, there's character issues apparently. But the Yankees do have a strong clubhouse. They do have a very close knit clubhouse, and I think there's something to be said about the Yankees having a very positive outlook on Japanese players in the past. Right? I mean, Masahiro Tanaka is so beloved by Yankee fans. I mean, so beloved by Yankee fans. I can't imagine him having a bad thought about the Yankees. Right? It's not like Japanese players have come to the Yankees.
He went to the World Series.
Exactly.
Tanaka was there. He was watching his buddy Garrett Cole because him and Cole were buddies in that last season that he was here.
Ichiro was a Yankee at one point. That was a success story. Matsui won a World Series MVP, and he's beloved in New York. So a lot of positive things about the Yankees that come out there. But I mean, I think the other team that's going to be a high in on him is the Dodgers, because
they're in on everyone.
Well, that, and I mean, the idea of this kid getting to play with Ohtani, who's probably an idol of his, and Yamamoto, who's probably also an idol of his, and thinking to pair the two of them up at the top of that Dodger rotation, who's going to lose Clayton Kershaw, not a bad sign, right?
That's unfair.
Terrifying, but very unfair. But that's again, unfair. He could sign with the Marlins. He could sign with the Blue Jays. He could sign with the Cubs or the Yankees. It doesn't necessarily matter.
Well, I had
All
seen
these teams
something
can offer
about
him the league
that.
minimum.
I had seen something about that where did I see it? Now I can't remember where I saw it, if it was on a social media network or if it was in an article that said, that he wouldn't be opposed to being in a smaller market, and that he might prefer being in a smaller market so he can kind of establish himself first and then maybe move on to a bigger market when the money's
well,
when the
that's then
time for that.
the money will be there.
Yeah, which makes
We'll
sense.
see. I understand that more for these pitchers that are coming out that are going to get the minimum salary, because why put all this pressure onto yourself? Like, the amount of eyeballs on him if he's on the Yankees or the Dodgers is crazy. Whereas if he goes to, there'll be eyeballs on him anywhere. But if he goes to Miami and just pitches well for 3 years, and then all of a sudden the 3 years are up and now someone wants to bid on him, he'll gladly let the Mets, the Yankees, the Dodgers bid on him at that point. It's going to be this is one of the more interesting cases, because you have him coming out where his decision in free agency is going to be wherever he wants to play. And then you're going to have, as opposed to Corbin Burns coming out where he's going to get paid, $225, $250. It's a very interesting thing that how different it is.
Yeah, it's
I
interesting.
hope the Yankees are on him, and the Yankees should be in on him. I don't think there's any reason why they shouldn't be in on him.
I think everyone should be on him, but the Yankees definitely. I mean, why not? What's there to lose? So he rejects you. You've been rejected by Yamamoto, so you know how it feels. It's okay.
Yeah, and you were trying to give him $300 million, so.
Right. So, it's fine. It'll be fine for the Yankees. But yeah, no, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens, where he goes, how he does, if any of those injury, issues crop up, and what happens if they do. Do you have any? Let's make a prediction. Let's predict where he goes.
I do feel like it's going to be a small marketplace. I don't know. That's a really good question that I haven't really debated. I got a team that I think he's going to go to, because there's a lot of Japanese players there right now having success, and while they're not a small market team, they do feel like a small market team more often than not.
The Cubs?
The Chicago Cubs.
Yeah.
I think
as soon as you said that, I was thinking NL Central also. I was thinking maybe like someone like the Pirates.
Yeah, the Cubs have a very good track record of stuff like this.
Yeah.
I think they're going to have a big offseason. My two big predictions right now, I think Sasaki and Pete Alonso are their two big moves this offseason.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in the description. You'll get text from us. You can text us questions, comments, and reactions to all the news in the off season. We send out anything that happens breaking news wise. If you're not on social media, we try to send that out as soon as everything pops up. There's a 14-day free trial. Coming up, let's talk about some of the stuff that Aaron Boone was talking about in his press conference. The first time I ever went to Barclays Center, I was sitting so high that airplane mode turned on my phone automatically. I was above the rafters and the court looked teeny tiny, but it was still really cool because it was live basketball. And with GameTime, it's never been easier to get the best tickets for those NBA games. They've got a new feature called GameTime Picks, which does all the hard work for you. Instead of searching through thousands of tickets, GameTime Picks filters out the fluff and shows you only the absolute best deals on great seats. And if that wasn't enough, they got all-in pricing. You just toggle on the feature. It shows you the full price up front with no surprises at checkout. You also get seat views. So if you've never been to a venue, you can see a panoramic view from your seat in the app so you can decide exactly where you want to sit. If I had seen the seats in advance, I wouldn't have taken them because I'm also afraid of heights. So it was an interesting night. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime Picks. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download GameTime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Thanks again for making Locked On Yankees your first listen. And remember, every Friday is Fan Mail Friday. You can leave questions underneath the pinned comment on our videos Monday through Thursday, or you can join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club and get top priority. The link is in the description. Aaron Boone spoke to the media, and it wasn't a big press conference. It was a Zoom press conference. You know, he was in his home office or wherever the hell he was. He may have been, I don't know. Was he at Yankee Stadium? It kind of looked like he was at the Yankee Stadium office, which why would he be there?
He was at home, yeah.
Okay. So he spoke to the media. He had some things to say, but the one thing that, you know, I found out about right away, because I didn't watch it, I was keeping track on social media, that he said that an extension had not been discussed.
Which is crazy.
Which I was thinking, oh, okay, interesting. Because we both were thinking, oh, here we go. They're announcing an extension.
Well, because why talk to him otherwise? Like,
right.
what did we need to hear from Aaron Boone? Like, I don't understand. Has any other manager spoken? Like, have the Mets put Luis Rojas out there to speak? Like, who has spoken?
Right. And like, did they speak to Luke Weaver when they exercised his 2025 option?
No other manager has, even Dave Roberts, other than like the World Series, like post stuff, like and they're in the parade and stuff.
And then the one podcast he was on, but
he hasn't spoken publicly. Like he hasn't had like a press conference. I don't understand. Like, who needed to hear from Aaron Boone? Who was dying to hear from what Aaron Boone had to say? Like I wasn't. So I thought it was very strange that we heard from him because no one was asking. Who was asking for that?
Well, I certainly wasn't.
Yeah, that's for sure. I know you aren't.
The other thing that stuck out to me was he's still trying to gaslight us.
Mm-hmm.
He is still trying to gaslight everyone. And I just can't even, I don't understand. Like they asked him if he thought the poor fundamentals were a problem all season for the Yankees and what could be done to improve them next year. And he basically narrowed it down to the bad inning in Game 5, right? And he said there were some things during the season, but he really leaned into Game 5 of the World Series. Like, that was just our really bad inning and this and that. Where you and I were talking about it, where Game 5 was basically like 2024 in an inning.
In a nutshell.
For the Yankees. Like, that was them in a nutshell. And you and I cover this team 5 days a week. We're not beat writers. We're not there at the stadium. We don't get to ask these guys questions, but we watch games day in and day out from the start of spring training through Game 5 of the World Series. And we saw how this team played. And for him to sit there and basically excuse the poor fundamentals and just say, oh, well, you know, yeah, things happen and that was a bad inning. And yeah, I know some things were rough during the season, but what? No.
Well, there's more lying that happened in this whole thing. Gaslighting is the right word to use for sure. Lying, just straight, not factual stuff coming out of him. Yeah. This quote's long, but let me read it because I think a lot of your jaws are going to drop at the end of it. We had a really tough inning, but I think if you go back throughout the course of the season, especially for those of you that covered us on a regular basis, 2024 was a year in which we had a very good offense. But if you go back and look at storylines throughout the season, I felt like there were a lot of times that we were winning games because of whether it was a big defensive play, whether it was small ball on a given day, whether it was Game 4, we get a double steal and a contact read at home. Those things happened throughout the year on a regular basis. We won a lot of games because of little things that we did well over the course of the year. We didn't play well enough in the World Series. We obviously had a very tough inning that understandably gets a lot of attention in Game 5. That's part of the game. There's nothing that we don't lean into heavily and invest a lot in from a detail standpoint. And we'll continue to do that and also try and continue to get better and evolve where we think we need to. Stacey, to sit there and tell us that the Yankees won a lot of games this year doing the little things, they were the worst base running team in baseball this year. They got picked off more than any other team in baseball this year. Their stolen base percentage was not terrific. They don't bunt. They don't hit guys. They don't make a lot of contacts. They don't move guys over very well.
You know what that quote made me want to do?
Am I missing something?
Do you know that what that quote made me want to do? If you type in head desk or headbang on Twitter, there is a GIF from the show Scrubs where Dr. Cox is doing this. That's basically what that quote made me want to do with my laptop. But I joked about that. I said, this is what I said when I quote tweeted Chris Kirshner from The Athletic put that entire quote up. That's where we got it from. And I quote tweeted, it said, I cover the team. I might not be a beat writer, but I talk about them 5 days a week on a podcast. There were so many times when I wanted to put my head through a wall because the team was so sloppy. Stop trying to gaslight us, because how could you say that with your whole
chest? The same games as you.
Like, how could you say that with your whole chest and make it think, oh, well, they do all these little things. Yeah, but there's a lot of things that they do badly. And it's not just a game every once in a while. There always seems to be some play in nearly every single game in 162 in the regular season that they screw up. Even if they win, there's some sort of base running mistake, or maybe a defensive, maybe tracking a ball badly in the outfield, maybe not hitting the cutoff man, like just stupid, silly things that major leaguers should know. And it's almost as if, I don't understand. Like,
it's almost as if this quote looks like it comes from Dave Roberts. And Dave Roberts would have a point here with this quote if they like, because that's how the Dodgers played all year. But the Yankees don't do the little things well. The Yankees boot the ball around. They miss the cutoff man. The Yankees don't do this stuff well.
But do they practice? Like, I get that they're adult men. They're in their 20s and 30s. They've been playing baseball since they're kids. But there's got to be some sort of drills, and not just in spring training, because when your team is routinely making horrible mistakes, you need to work on stuff with them. And the Yankees are not doing that with these guys. Either that, or these guys are just not absorbing anything and they don't care.
No, I don't get it. I don't know. But again, no one's going to put him no one's going to call him on the carpet for it. So he's just going to lie straight through his teeth to us, and it's not going to matter. It's just crazy to see this quote come out of Aaron Boone, because it's so disingenuous.
It's like how his post games are, right?
It's almost like there's a lack of focus, though. It's a lack of awareness, because we're all watching the same games that he's watching, and I don't understand.
Well, we talk about it all. Wait, but hold on. We talk about it all the time. After a game, a pitcher will go like 3 1/3, give up 5 runs, look awful, and he'll say, "Oh, he was throwing the ball well."
Yeah, he had good stuff.
He had good stuff. He was throwing the ball well. A guy goes 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. Oh, he had some good at bats.
He didn't, though. He didn't.
That's basically
I don't get
Aaron Boone in a nutshell.
Yep, and he continued the same shtick into the offseason, and he'll continue it into next year. And when the inevitable extension is announced, he'll continue it further. We all know that's coming. In other news, apparently Boone is going to speak with Soto as a tactic to get Juan Soto to stay. I don't know what Aaron Boone could possibly say. Like, Juan Soto knows who Aaron Boone is. He was his manager for a whole year. I don't know what Aaron Boone could possibly say. He's going to the highest bidder. Just give him the check. Let Juan Soto put the number that he wants on it, and then let him pick which team he wants to go to. That's it.
But I think it's good that Boone is going with them, with Hal, to speak to him, because it really shows them that, the Yankees are going to throw money at him. They're not going to lowball Juan Soto, because they know what he can do.
They shouldn't have to. This is why I think the free agency thing is dumb, though, because Soto and Boris are making the Yankees do a monkey dance for them. Like, there's why are we making them go out to California? He knows everything there is about the Yankees. He played with them for a year. He knows the clubhouse, the facilities, the team. Nothing's changing. Like, he knows they're going to be one of the top bidders. He knows everything there is to be with the Yankees. Why he's making them go out there and do a show and dance for them? He knows everything about the Yankees. Hal has to go out there. Hal spoke to him multiple times throughout the year. Boone's got to go out there. Cashman. He knows everything there is to be about a Yankee. He does. What are they going to say?
You think Judge will be there too?
Yeah, what are they going to say? Oh, well, it's great if you win here. If you play in the World Series, he knows what it's like to play in the World Series in Yankee Stadium. He did it. Like, I don't. To me, that's very strange to me why they're making them put on a show and dance. And also, Desi Druschel, he is the Yankees' assistant pitching coach. He will be now going to the New York Mets as their new pitching coach. So, for what that means, the Mets stole someone from the Yankees. Hopefully, that's the only one they steal from the Yankees the entire offseason.
Yeah, because Boone had said that only one person was changing from the coaching staff. I'm assuming that means him, because most people were thinking it was going to be Luis Rojas, the third base coach. Most people were thinking and hoping that it was going to be him, but I guess it's going to be Desi. So good luck to him. And apparently he does really good work with the Yankees along with Matt Blake. So this is kind of a big loss because
he's a Blake disciple. That's what he is. He's learned a lot from that Blake.
Yeah, so the Mets are actually lucky that they're getting him, and considering some of the guys that they still have that carrying over from last year who had surprising seasons, they could get better. So that'll be interesting. All right, coming up next, some guys from the Yankees are finalists for some awards. Shocking.
Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place all of your bets. And everything's going on right now. Football is on almost every day of the week at this point. College football, the NFL, those Thanksgiving games are even coming up on you really quick. Baseball's right around the corner. You can get futures bets in on the baseball. If you want to bet the Yankees to win the World Series next year, it's all available, all of it, on FanDuel.com. All you got to do is visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel. It's the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So, Stacey, as we close out Tuesday's show, some interesting things that came out, the Rookie Awards, AL MVP Awards, and Cy Young Awards, the finalists were announced. And I know Baseball Digest had their list about a week ago at this point. This is like MLB's official listing of who's going to get the actual award that goes in the Hall of Fame and all that kind of stuff. AL Rookie of the Year. Weirdly enough, the Yankees had a lot of representation on these lists of American League. We're just going to go over American League. The National League guys are on there also if you want to go see it online. But AL Rookie of the Year, Luis Gil was a finalist. Austin Wells is a finalist. And Colton Cowser is a finalist. I think it'll be Luis Gil just because of the consistency they had all year, the way he pitched throughout the year. But Wells being a finalist on there with how much Yankee fans grew to hate him towards the end of the year. Kind of like to see that, right? Good for Wells' confidence.
Yeah. He got tired because he was playing a lot. He was playing a lot when Trevino was hurt. So
the injury hurt. Yeah, the injury hurt him a lot.
Yeah, so he kind of like ran into a wall there, but I liked what I saw from Austin Wells. We spoke about it ad nauseum. The start of the year, he just had bad luck bad luck contact because he was hitting the ball literally at people. And then once the luck started to change and the ball started to fall, you could see the potential in Austin Wells and what kind of offensive player he could be. So I expect good things from him going forward.
Yeah, and if he stays consistent and really, stays true to that kind of player that he is, I think the average has room to get a little higher. But other than that, he had a really solid
defensively
rookie year.
Too. Yeah, and he was solid defensively too.
Which was the bugaboo coming into the year on him, was his defensive ability. They didn't think was that great, and his defensive ability improved drastically. I'd love to see his average get up a little bit. He had 229 this year, but had 322 on base, which is really good for a catcher. 13 homers, 55 RBIs. 55 RBIs is really solid. And remember, he was for maybe I want to say 40% of their season, he was their cleanup hitter. Played his way out of that role toward the end of the year. But overall, really, really solid rookie year out of Austin Wells. And again, Luis Gil was otherworldly. We'll see if he can keep that up. He actually pitched really well in the postseason too. But one thing to note about Luis Gil, this was by far the most amount of innings Luis Gil's pitched in an entire season in his career. I wonder what the Yankees' off-season program is going to be for him. You'd think it'd be a little lighter, actually, where they're not going to make him do a lot of work, or they're not going to let him return to the baseball field as quick as he might want to.
Yeah, we joked about that on the show last year with Clark Schmidt because he threw a lot of innings, and I joked that he was basically going to be napping the entire offseason. So I'm thinking the same for Luis Gil, and that his throwing program, because it's not the same as it used to be. These guys start throwing, depending on when their season ends. If your season ends before the playoffs, if you're one of those teams that doesn't make it, a lot of these guys are starting right after the World Series.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
And a lot of guys now, the turn of the year they're starting. It's not like it was in the past where guys are, smoking cigars and drinking beer and eating hot dogs all off season, and then all of a sudden they return, February 14th, pitches and catches, and they start their workout program. These guys show up to camp in shape. It's not.
Or they're
it's funny when you
already
see those,
at camp. Some of these guys show
yeah,
up to the minor league facilities in January, and they've already been working out for a month by the time they report for pitchers and catchers. Because, like you said, it's not like years ago where the reason spring training happened was for detox purposes in the 1800s, because these guys they worked regular jobs in the winter.
yeah,
Some guys were bartenders, so they were also like drinking because they were bartenders, and they would show up fat and bloated. And the I believe it was the owner of, was it the White Sox? See, I did a whole script about this for MLB on YouTube, but go watch look up MLB spring training, and it's on YouTube, and it tells you the origins of why spring training started. But basically, he put their butts into the hot springs in Arkansas to detox them, and then it became a thing where other teams were like, "Hey, we're going to get our guys in shape before the season starts." And that's how spring training basically started, because these guys were fat and bloated when they showed up to play baseball, and they needed to be in better shape.
now it's a full-time round the clock thing, so they don't really need to
Kind
worry
of like
about
year-round Little League too, right? Like travel
Literally.
baseball and all that stuff. Like they're all playing year-round. So it's basically, you start playing baseball at like 7, 8, 9, and you're playing until you're 40.
Literally, it's that crazy.
Yeah.
Also, Stacey, the AL MVP awards. Not that this is really a surprise, but what is really cool to see, Judge and Soto and Bobby Witt Jr. I don't think Judge or Bobby Witt Jr. were a surprise. I mean, Soto's not really a surprise per se, but just crazy to see the Yankees 2 and 3 hitters in the lineup both be MVP finalists. I mean, really just wild in one lineup it's crazy.
Soto finished with 41.
Yeah.
And Judge finished with 58.
Soto was like 41 and 110, I believe, somewhere in that range.
So that's 99. So that's 99 combined home runs. That's crazy.
Pretty ridiculous.
That's
pretty ridiculous. And both over 100 RBIs. Both had crazy years. Really just wild stuff. And then the AL Cy Young Awards. Here's another interesting storyline. No Yankees here. But Seth Lugo, no surprise. Tarek Skubal, no surprise. Emmanuel Clase, though, getting the Cy Young a bid for the AL. Very rare you see a bullpen arm or reliever arm wind up getting the nod. So really cool stuff out of there, because you got to have one heck of a year as a reliever, Stacey, to be considered for the Cy Young Award. And it rarely I think the last guy was Zach Britton before this to be considered. So really, really, really outstanding year out of Clase, but unfortunately wasn't great in the postseason.
Well, yeah. I mean, if the postseason counted for anything, Aaron Judge
would definitely affect. Yeah, no, all of them would be in trouble.
Yeah, Aaron Judge would be in big trouble. Yeah, Skubal would be in trouble just a little bit for that last game. That grand slam. No, I'm looking for. I saw something. Okay, because you mentioned Britton, and that's not actually true, because James Smythe, research guru from the S Network, posted this on Blue Sky. Since he's a finalist with Tarek Skubal and Seth Lugo, Emmanuel Clase is the first reliever to finish in the top 3 in Cy Young voting since Francisco Rodriguez in 2008. He recorded the MLB record, 62 saves. He was third behind Cliff Lee and Roy Halladay. Crazy. He added, I would have guessed Zach Britton in 2016, but he was 4th that year. So he was close to being...
He finished as a finalist?
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's wild, because Zach Britton had one of the greatest reliever years of all time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Zach Britton's 2016, who the heck was in front of him then? Because Zach Britton, I mean, it was literally one of the greatest years ever.
Yeah, and then he was stuck in the bullpen in Rogers Center.
With one of the worst decisions of all time. That year,
is that worse than Aaron Boone bringing in Nestor Cortez? No, I'm kidding.
Well, yeah, because Nestor that year, Zach Britton had a .54 ERA.
Yeah, like
think about that.
Yeah,
.54.
Yeah.
Had great years with the Yankees too, like really great years. But I mean, .54 is otherworldly. Somehow Zach Britton's out of the league too. He's like 33 years old, which is wild. Stand by. I want to see who the AL Cy Young finalists were that year now, because now I'm even more fascinated, because how is that even possible?
Did they have finalists back in 2016?
Yeah,
or you just mean the top three?
Rick Porcello, Justin Verlander, and Corey Kluber.
Wow.
The top three. Wow. I'm shocked. I mean, I know Corey Kluber was awesome back then. Justin Verlander was really good, but I believe that was the year Rick Porcello won like 22 games or something like that with the Red Sox. But wow, Zach Britton not being in there is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
0.54 ERA.
Yeah, that doesn't seem possible to do that, but he
No.
did. I remember watching that year and just seeing his numbers and being like,
unhittable. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So interesting stuff. I think it's interesting about Sasaki and just seeing what happens with him. Again, I don't know. I'm thinking NL and I'm thinking Central for where he goes. I don't think one of the big
small
teams
market
gets him.
vibes.
Yeah, I am too. But I mean, I've been wrong about many things, so don't listen to me.
I'm wrong. Choose New York.
Don't listen to me.
Preferably.
Yeah. Also, Juan Soto picked the Yankees too. Thanks.
Yeah.
So thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, find Locked On MLB. Baseball guru Sully brings you a daily blend of humor in baseball, keeping you updated on every rumor and story throughout the offseason. Find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And as I said, he is basically, like we always, in our other, taglines that we've done for him, like we've called him a baseball encyclopedia, and he like literally is. So if you get a chance, listen to Locked On MLB, because he will pull a player out of somewhere and you're just like, I don't remember that guy, but he does. He's basically like Baseball Reference without the internet. It's kind of crazy. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you tomorrow.